Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. The drama continues on the Cloud9 situation with Zellsis giving his latest take on exactly what's been going on at that team, but also Rossy responding to Imi and Oxy's perspective on what happened with the team over the last couple of days. Rossy says yes, there are some truths in there are some lies in there, and implying that as time progresses, he will get results, and that team that dropped him will very much not. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Thought this is kind of cool here, right? The Riot Games have done kind of like a yearly recap thing, and they say, who do you play like? What sort of pro are you similar to in your playstyle? And Marv got Aspas, and many other players were getting other pro players. I thought it was kind of cool. This is interesting just to have a look at real quick. So MAT, we know that they were in Ascension for the last couple of years. They never quite did enough to qualify, as we know, and therefore they decided, all right, well, we've tried it for 2 years, we've failed both times, we're just going to blow it up and not bother anymore. But MAT, they still exist as an organization, and they have acquired this organization called Beast Coast, and Beast Coast, and their esports and media businesses. So they are now in the MAT family. Now, Beast Coast tweeted this yesterday, of course, with players and obviously features that they have. They've got in Rainbow Six, Dota 2, stuff like that, and they then say reasons to follow MAT, including Sports Good Looks, NA Counter-Strike, and Valorant Eyes emoji. So, do they know something that we don't? Do they know something that MAT don't? Or, given the circumstances here with this acquisition, are they basically implying, MAT are coming back to Valorant and they're going to try and run it back again for the new season? I don't know. Intrigued to your thoughts in the comments. Ascension is tough, obviously. There are lots of great teams down there. If MAT was to come back and fill the roster or, pick up a roster that was out there, I think it would be good to see. But still, like, they had their chance over the last couple of years, and now players like Koala Noob and many others have been signed into the VCT. Xander's now long gone, so it's like, if you're MAT, could you come back and form a team that you're confident would win? It's not so clear nowadays, I would say. We also got the confirmation yesterday as well that Floor is joining Apex. This is now a locked-in deal, as Boaster says. Big moves, excited to play against Floor. I've experienced how good she is when we're duo queued. And so here you go. Floor's into Apex officially. Of course, we saw this rumor a while ago. It's kind of remarkable, actually, to just look back on that Floor was, we thought maybe to Evil Geniuses was a possibility, right? Of course, dominated the Game Changers World Championship. And Apex have decided that Floor is the player they need to round out their roster. So this kind of came out the blue when the rumors were first emerging about it. Now it's official, and welcome Fluorescent. Apex officially confirmed last night. So it's a big deal to see this, of course. The direction from Game Changers up to Tier 1 directly. We've talked a lot about how it doesn't really work going from Game Changers to Tier 2 to Tier 1, at least right now, because by the time that the Game Changers World Championship ends, the Tier 2 scene is basically beginning again and the rosters are locked in. So it's difficult to actually make that transition work. It works if you go directly to Tier 1, which is what's happened with Floor, but very few other players have shown anywhere near the type of potential to actually make this happen. But I'm very excited to see how Floor gets on. And also making it clear on some level that it's not just about competing in Game Changers for the money. I mean, of course, Bob did something similar with the move to Tier 2 a while ago, and, we're seeing that kind of similar progression here where, okay, you could stay in Game Changers, you could just dominate everything every single year with all the money, but that's, from a competitive spirit perspective, that's not what Fluorescent wants to do. I know there was some discussion as well on whether, basically changing the way that Game Changers is done. Obviously, Leo Farrier talks about it and says that Game Changers is always meant to be a stepping stone, a place for players to hone their skills, to be seen, and eventually given an opportunity on the main circuit. Which kind of does imply that, the intention might be to help players make this transition from Game Changers directly to Tier 1. There was some discussion in the replies here about, okay, maybe it should be GC to Tier 2 to Tier 1, and, changing who is eligible, let's say, for Game Changers in general. But Leo Farrier shuts that down and says, no, we're happy with the current structure as it is, and we're not planning to change it anytime soon. A couple of unfortunate things that happened yesterday that were going around. To Lakia, his account account seemingly was hacked, and like unfortunately his account that said Shanghai Champions title and all this, someone hacked it and then sold his account for $10. I don't know why, maybe out of spite or something. I'm just kind of confused. But yeah, Lucky has been talking with Riot to try to get this whole thing resolved, which hopefully it will be in due course. Absolutely. This I thought was kind of interesting as well here. So Kojo tweeted this out yesterday, of course, Fnatic's like a manager basically, and discussing how back in 2022, so we're talking 2.5 years ago now, this was the roster they had as their like academy that wasn't really known publicly, but just to think of some of the names on here and what they've achieved. Robbie BK now going to Gentlemate, of course Purpo we know, Kamek we know what he's gone on to do, and then of course Ave, who's gone on to join the Carmine Corps roster for this season. As Kojo says, happy for he's getting his chance in tier 1. We almost signed him as our 6th man at one point, rate him very highly. So it goes to show, the scouting that Fnatic have done over the last few years has been pretty impressive. Is it going to work for Kayak this season? That is another question. But let's talk about, again, this whole Cloud9 Rossy related drama. Zellsis gets out to Korea, and I don't know what sort of skincare boutiques he's been going to over the last couple of days, but he's been absolutely cooking anyway. So, yeah, and Zellsis has been fried, it seems, in ranked over there as well, using a lot of Phoenix actually here. You guys can't quite see it on the left-hand side, but these top 3 victories were all on the Phoenix. And yeah, Zellsis is having a good time getting ready to go for the Soup Valorant League over the next couple of days. But we know that Rossy was dropped from Cloud9, controversially so. Rossy said, look, I wasn't perfect, but it was still a surprise, of course, that they got rid of him. He was their in-game leader. They were looking very good. He was looking very good individually. Of course, we saw Sinatra talk about it a couple of days ago about the micromanagement. Oxy then kind of talked about it on stream, and, well, the way that Oxy talked about it to me kind of implied that he was pretty happy that Zellsis was gone. However, when Cloud9 did a video on it yesterday, that was a different story, and Oxy kind of seemed more so to imply, basically, the story goes, there were like 1 or 2 guys at Cloud9 pushing very hard for Rossy to be gone. The other 2 and the coach are more impartial, but the theory is that Moose wanted Rossy out, Vic probably wanted Rossy out as well. It's kind of unclear, but that video indicated that actually Oxy was not super on board, and he was like, what, we'll make the changes if we think it's better for the team. But maybe Rossy and Zeppa weren't as vehemently opposed to it as some others were, and it's always interesting when you get those dynamics, right, when like a team decides to make a decision that may or may not be good for their future, and you have some players who are very much on board with that decision and are pushing hard for it, and other players that are more on the fence. And if the decision goes well, then great, everyone's happy apart from Rossy. If the decision doesn't go well with Mitch, and I like the Mitch signing, I think it's a good signing. Like, I don't think Cloud9 are going to be terrible because of this whole thing, but I do think that if it doesn't work out, the players that weren't so keen to get rid of Rossy are going to potentially resent their teammates that were, and then that causes all sorts of problems, right? So that's why Rossy finds himself in an interesting position. Zellsis talks about what he thinks about it and says, look, at the end of the day, a team thought they could get better by doing this. It's esports. It's kind of screwy for Rossy that he's dropped now and he doesn't have a good option to go to another team immediately afterwards, given the timing of the whole thing. But Rossy's perspective on it, I thought, was the most interesting, right? Because he then kind of clapped back on some level to what Imi and Oxy had to say, and pretty much said that, yeah, there were some truths in there were some lies in there, and we're going to see what truth comes out over time in terms of when Rossy's winning championships and Cloud9 are nowhere to be found.
Yeah, like on C9, I was playing like Sentinel, and we were just 1-4 on defense and attack, and just everyone just run it down, and I would just micro and like call and everything like that. Bro, you know what's so funny? Oh my god, wait, I have drama. Not drama, but like, you know what's so funny about like that whole like Rossy, like people don't like being microed by Rossy? Because like when I was on C9, I mean, obviously it was a whole different team. Like it was me, Leaf, Zeppa, Rooney, and Jake. But like I microed the shit out of them, and they just listened. And like I would rage at these guys so much. Like I would rage at them so much. Not rage, but like I wouldn't like be a whiny little bitch. But I would be like, you guys need to fucking do this now. You know what I mean? That's why they dropped you. They did not drop me, bro. They did. I've never been dropped in my life. Let's get one thing straight. Thoughts on Rossy C9 thing? All right, look. I could give a very dramatic answer, but I'm gonna give a PR answer because I'm just feeling generous right now. C9 is good, or
5-on-5.
Rossy is good.
I prefer 1-on-1.
C9 is good.
But don't worry, this is good too.
Rossy wasn't fitting on the team, so they replaced him. It's that simple. It is that simple. Both parties have publicly come out and said the same exact story. Okay? Do I think that they could have maybe worked out their issues a little bit more? Yes. Do I think it's a problem that they didn't? No. Why? Because it's esports, and none of this makes fucking sense. But C9 isn't good. They were good with Rossy. What do you mean C9 isn't good? Oh, C9 made fucking playoffs. They were one game away from making like 2 internationals last year. That's C9 every year? I mean, yeah, but like, that doesn't mean they're bad. You know what I mean? Like, even my C9, like, we went 7-1. We were one game from making every single international that year. And then we just lost. Like, we just lost. It happens.
Based on the C9 interview yesterday, Imi and Oxy wanted you to stay. Is that true?
Good round.
Bro,
Listen, Marshall.
there's a lot of lies, a lot of truths. I'll put it this way. There's a lot of lies, there's a lot of truths. But eventually, they will all come out. But regardless, true results and the things that will show who's really right or wrong, we'll see in the results of each people's career. So let's go off that, okay?
So definitely fascinating to me, the implication of Rossy that, you know, some of the discussion about this from Cloud9 hasn't been fully truthful, absolutely. And, like, does that massively surprise me? No. I mean, we've talked about Cloud9 before, and look, this may not end up being the biggest deal ever, them dropping Rossy. They may still be rather good. But we know that Cloud9, not even just from a player POV, but of course from like a management POV and stuff like that, have been questionable over the last few years. And it doesn't seem like that's expected not to continue for too much longer, right? Just before we close out the video, this I thought was kind of funny. So VCT themselves, they put this out yesterday. Spotlight Series America's going to be dropping some behind the scenes of Event and Media Day. And they just put this out there yesterday. Now, of course, this looks a lot to me like Icy. This to me looks a lot like an Evil Genius's jersey. And this isn't confirmed yet, right? So I thought this is kind of funny that VCT are like, oh, we're going to drop some behind the scenes. And in their announcement video of that, or like their Instagram story, whatever, they basically confirmed that, like, yeah, Icy's going to Evil Geniuses. And it was funny because Derek was in the replies to Era FPS saying, oh, it's just the lighting, I don't know what you're talking about. Looks a lot like Superman to me. And Superman was like, oh yeah, I've just lost some weight and my skin color's a bit off. Must be the lighting or something. But yeah, Evil Geniuses are getting Icy. It's funny that the players are not gonna not respond to this because they just think it's kind of funny. Everyone knows that Icy's gonna be there anyway. But yeah, it's Icy, Yay, Derek, Superman, Nature. That's your Evil Geniuses team for the upcoming season, with of course Fluorescent going over to Apex as we saw a few minutes ago. But very much interested to your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.